Of course, now you got the pressure. This is where all eyes are on you right now. Hanwha Life, what is your priority? Where is your power going to be? And what do you think you can pick blind? It's the Aurelia, pure and simple.
Aurelia is obnoxious. Aurelia is crazy strong in the top lane. She wins out a ton of different matchups. She can also be flexed into that mid lane. So now we'll have to see what LNG are going to respond with. We've seen crazy things coming into the jungle. A lot of those assassins like the Kiana, the Talon, the Zed. Talia's also risen up, but we are going to get that Kiana straight off the board for Tarzan. And now pairing it already with this big team fight Wombo alongside the Misfortune, LNG are going to fight early and fight hard.
They're going to go absolutely ham. We're going to see a supreme display of talent coming out from Tarzan on that Kiana. And straight away, what is going on? Freljord, we got Swanee and Tryndamere. This is quick.
So you've already got two melee mids, melee champions, fantastic for the Sejuani. This Tryndamere mid has started to rise up now that people have started to cop on. Hey, we could use this 3 rejuvenation bead start, take a couple of pots, and it's nigh on impossible to push this man out of lane. But one of the counter picks that has started to creep up for the Tryndamere is actually a couple of players like Doombeat that are playing Jax Jax in the mid lane. So I'm curious to see now if this Jax is going to be going into the mid lane or if it's the ally special. He loves this pick in the top.
Absolutely, that's the thing. Yes, it's an ally special, but Icon plays everything. Yeah. Icon plays all styles of champions and has done so much in his very, very storied career in the LPL. So very, very good flex pick here for LNG.
So I think if I'm looking at Hanwha Life here, I'm going to start taking away engage supports. You've already got like some great team fight setup coming through from the Kiana and the Misfortune. Take away things like the Alistair, get these off the board. And Mumu still a very prime pick. That Curse the Sal bullet time now a thing in the bottom lane. So I think Hanwha Life should prioritize that area, get these taken away, and we'll have to see LNG looking towards the Ziggs, trying to get deft off of some of these more AP orientated picks in the bot lane because you're running that double AD laners.
Yeah, Curse the Sal bullet time. You know, it's the more things change, the more they say the same. You've always got the old school classics, and now we'll see where LNG want to go for it. It's not uncommon for them to leave the top lane as such, or one of the solo lanes for this, the counter pick on the last side of red pick. But looking now, we're seeing a lot of mid laners taken away, and I gotta say for Hanwha Life, you're ecstatic right now because you get to pick between Aurelia and Tryndamere for Trophy, 2 champions that can just 100% carry your team all the way to the end of the game.
Yeah, at least looking at Chovy, summoner spells, I imagine that Tryndamere is mid, but certainly I want to see what their plan is here for the bottom side of the map because you're not really looking at a true tank on LNG at least, but you're pretty heavily into that AD side of things, so I think they definitely need to try and bring out some sort of mage in that bottom side of the map for depth. We'll have to see what they decide to go with. Braum taking off the board here for LNG though. Like, you can still see very slow on these rotations, still trying to figure things out, but I think for LNG, things like the Alistair for Iwandi, he's loved this pick. It's been so good when he looks towards these roams in the early stages as well, and I think that could be a phenomenal pickup here if they don't want to go with the Amumu.
Yeah, and he's got Leona in there as well. There's, again, what you said, those very big, hard engaged supports, so we'll see if Hanwha Life have an answer to it, or if they're just willing to kind of go toe for toe, go for double engage in that bot side and kind of just see if they can get the better 2v2.
Yeah, I think the big thing as well for Hanwha Life is you're looking at some sort of like 1-3-1 split push, right? Aurelia, Tryndamere, they want to play it through side lanes. I'd love to see some sort of wave clear coming through for the mid lane. I don't want to see Deft go back to something like the Ezreal or something along these lines. I think you really need to figure out some way to, well, he might actually go back towards it, but something at least that can have that wave clear and keep your mid lane under control and let your side lanes play out through their strengths.
Oh, we're going to see the last pick coming in now for Hanwha Life. See what they want to go for. Vista. Looks like they're going to go for double poke and lock in that Karma. So they're, again, looking to gain control on that bot side and move around the map. Like you said, get that 1-3-1 going.
Yeah, and the Karma kind of facilitates on both sides, right? She does help out with that push scenario, but also enabling these melee champions to close that distance. And when you're looking across at LNG, I mean, we already kind of highlighted, this is a big team fight composition. You have some threat on the side lanes with the Jax, but realistically, a 1-4 is what LNG are going to be playing with. So eyeing up more engaged tools here for LNG. Potential for Tarzan to go towards this Gragas in the jungle and make sure that they can find the team fights that they want.
We'll see what they want to go for. An LPL special is just to take that Gragas into the top side, just to mitigate the pressure you get with things like an Aurelia, a Jace, hell, even maybe even a Tryndamere. We'll see exactly where everything ends up finishing off there. But right now, honestly, with these comps locked and loaded, it's very obvious where Hanwha Life want to go for. Like you said, the 1-3-1, they've got the wave clear. It's going to be about LNG finding those opportunities to get those big team fights.
Yeah, and actually it looks like we're going to get that Gragas in towards the mid lane. So we were actually looking coming into today. We're like, all right, we got 21 unique champions for Chovy. We have 22 unique champions from Icon, both from the summer split. And now Icon's decided to add one more in for the Gragas as well. So certainly going to be trying to keep him safe against this Tryndamere. Just look to trade very quickly with that phase rush, back it off, and make sure that the Tryndamere can't look for these all-ins.
Yeah, absolutely. And the good, the disengage you get to try and stop the Tryndamere, but not only that, just in terms of laning phase, your sustain is just so good of just mitigating all that extra pressure. It means that you can survive, you can look to roam, and you can look to set yourself up for success and set the rest of your team up for success. Because if there's something that LNG know how to do, is they know how to play mid-jungle.
Yeah, and this has kind of been their core strengths, especially when we look at how they played in the regular split. A little bit messy, but as we got in towards playoffs, certainly Tarzan stepping up massively, starting to interact a huge amount more with his lanes. And certainly when you're on this Kiana, he's kind of breathing a sigh of relief that he's up against the Sejuani, because Kiana goes incredibly low off of her first clears, is at the expense of maybe getting an invade that can take her down. But when you're against the Sejuani, don't have to worry as much about that. He can look for those level 6 and then try and find these big skirmishes up towards that top side alongside things like the Jax.
Yeah, I've been told as well, we're going to have a slight remake of the Champ Select. Not enough tension in the air. We need to build it up just a little bit more. So we are going to have the exact same picks, the exact same bans. They're just running through it very, very quickly as we speak. So we got a little bit of time. We got to talk about this. We know a lot about LNG. We are very well versed with this team. And we'll go a little bit into them now because LNG...
How biased of you. Yeah. How dare you.
I know. It's almost like I cast this region or something. But looking at LNG, it was just such a strange team that you couldn't really tell who's going to show up, because in playoffs they popped up, but before that they kind of were very hot and cold. Bit of Katy Perry.
Yeah, a little bit. I think the biggest thing for this team in the regular split was like how individualistic this team was. Like you'd end up seeing people playing for their own wins, but not thinking kind of holistically about the map. Wouldn't see them kind of cross map a huge amount. You wouldn't get like Tarzan trying to hover for a lane to make sure that they can push in. But now we saw in playoffs, Tarzan's been much more of a facilitator in that style. We saw an Icon roaming a huge amount. Awandi still pairing up well with Tarzan. So I think that's the style that I want to see coming through from LNG today. But it's why they were kind of that surprise coming in, where they had that miracle run that we looked at in our playoffs. But it's also kind of a similar story across the board for Hanwha Life, right? Because you look at them finishing in 8th in LCK, people are like, all right, lads, like at least you get into the regionals, you know, you can try and make yourselves get through. But honestly, like they stepped up massively as well, right? Chovy, a massive factor in that, moving in towards roams towards the top side to try and help out Morgan. Def stepping up big in that carry role from the bottom lane as well. It brought on kind of a new identity for Hanwha.
Yeah, and more, we talk obviously a lot about Chovy, everything there, but you can never count out the veterancy, if you will, of someone like Def. Def, who's been around for so long, his 6th World Championship. Like, this man has proven time and time again that he's not washed up, that he's not just someone you could just throw to the wayside. You have to pay respect, and that's why I feel like this game is not going to be as clear-cut, shall we say, as most people think it will be.
Yeah, I think the big thing for me is if we see the LNG that we got in playoffs that are coming out aggressive in the early stages, right? I think when we look across Hanwha, a lot of people kind of look and go, right, this is an incredibly slow team. If they're able to just get to their 2 Adam spikes, especially with the composition with like Tryndamere's, Aurelia's that are playing off that like Gore Drinker spike, well then you're going to be in trouble here for LNG. So I certainly want to see if Hanwha can get themselves rolling in the early stages. Again, looking at Chovy to see how much pressure he can have on this mid lane Tryndamere. I know, looking at Ashley Kang's interviews in the airport in Incheon, he was talking about, hey, I like this Tryndamere pick. It's absolutely busted, and he's brought it out in game number 1.
We're going to see how busted it is.
Yes.
It could be like Echo from last year. It's like, it's busted, not quite. We'll see how it ends up going. That's why the play-ins are so incredibly important. Every single team is going to be watching this. Every single team is going to be taking notes and saying what works, what doesn't, because this is the best information, apart from the LFL finals that happened the other night, the only information we have for 11.19.
Yeah, and I mean, for teams like LNG as well, historically, they've been very good at figuring out metas early, right? When you look at their regular split, 7 out of all their 10 wins were in the first 3 weeks of the split, because they'd figured out, hey, you know, Diana's a pretty good jungler, pairs well with Yasuo, let's try and make these combos work. So I think for LNG, we'll have to see if they can find that magic again. But honestly, looking at like the draft of Hanwha Life, these are the champions that I've been picking out as the OP champions on the patch, and I love what Hanwha have drafted here.
Yeah, I think Hanwha have gotten what everyone, I suppose, who's been looking at the solo queue streams as such has wanted. The tracking the pros, is the Tryndameres, the Aurelia, and we talk so heavily about the Aurelia because it can just pop off, and it's so disgusting when it gets ahead.
Now, my only caveat to this is, as people who've maybe watched the LCK playoffs, Morgan had an interesting time on the Aurelia.
He played
so
it.
I want to see how he's improved from there. And look, I know there's like multiple sitting at home who's a big Morgan fan. I know there's a lot of guys who are like the old WE team from Friendship and everything else, and looking at Morgan to see how he can do. I want to see the improvements that he's made, right? Because Aurelia now very much a staple of the meta. I think she's probably the strongest champion that you're looking at in the top lane. It's obnoxious level like 1 to 5, 6, and she even scales almost as well as champions like Camille, so you got that crazy late game scaling. You've even got, like, if you're looking at Doomby, he's got his own weird builds with like Gore Drinker and Gargo Stoneplate and stuff. She's so flexible. So I think certainly having Morgan been able to play this champion, see if he can bring it up to scratch here, I'm excited to see what he can do.
I am very, very excited. We do, of course, still waiting for them to finish off the draft, but of course we can look at it here and see exactly how things are going. And the full engage you're going to be able to get. I like the Gragas last pick here. It is clearly something that the side of LNG recognize that, look, this is something we can use to disengage, get the Aurelia off us, and move it as a pseudo counter to those big, hard melee carries.
Yeah, especially when you're looking at kind of the one-punch combo that Hanwha have drafted here, right? Big engage coming through from the Sejuani, and then relying on kind of the Sejuani to start getting procs across the board to let the Aurelia, the Trinity land these stuns and set themselves up for success. So if you're not able to follow up on that, thanks to the Gragas, it can put a wrench in the work for Hanwha, which is why I think, honestly, for Hanwha, just try and play out through these strong laners in the early stages, use the Sejuani to find skirmishes towards Rift Herald in the early setups, and then you can look to just play 1-3-1, right? Then you're in a phenomenal spot. You can start to hover. It becomes very difficult for LNG to deal with because, yes, they've got some wave clear with the Misfortune, but the rest of the team, it's not great, especially if you've got to try and like get your Gragas off in one lane. You've got to get your Jacks out in another.
Yeah, and that's something we actually haven't really talked about that much. It's sadly not as flashy, if you will, as all the other picks. But the Sejuani is something that's, you know, like you said, very good setup in those lanes with the passive you get from the Q. And it is something that can have a lot of success of just being a meat shield, being a protection and a setup for the rest of the team.
Yeah, and perfect, as you said, these double melee combos. Like, Sejuani's at home here. Like, it's so easy for a Tryndamere or Aurelia to proc or stun. And when you're looking towards these early skirmishes, right, like, who's your tank? You've got Icon, who's not exactly going to be going tank. I'm imagining it's going to be the Everfrost build, the Extendo Bop that we could like to bring in from the old MSI RNG days. But I think as well, you're looking at Kiana, very squishy. Rakan, not exactly the tankiest. So you're kind of relying on, hey, is Jax going to be able to make his move in here? Can he set ourselves up to have those engages? So it ends up being a little bit messy if you're looking at these early skirmishes, particularly at Rift Herald on the side of LNG.
And we'll have to wait and see, and we'll see how it all goes. But we shall wait no longer. Dagda, we are on to the Rift for the first game of the 2021 World Championships. Hanwha Life Esports versus LNG Esports. It's an old school LPL versus LCK. I am so excited. I don't know if you could tell.
I mean, I got the flight over with you, and I think I felt my seat shake the entire way.
Yeah,
I was just vibrating.
Yeah, like it wasn't turbulence or anything. It was just me. But now, we're in the game, we're talking about the early game, we're talking about how everything's going. We're actually seeing the 3 rejuve bead for Tryndamere now into the mid lane. Can you explain what the hell is going on?
Yeah, so a lot of people have copped on that this is absolutely busted. So essentially, you get so much health regen already coming through from the triple rejuve bead, and as well, Chovy is going to have access to the Q on the Tryndamere, which is going to heal himself up as well. And even with the grasp here, it makes it nigh impossible for you to actually get shoved out of lane. And now teams have kind of realized, hang on a second, when you give a Gore Drinker champion an invincibility for several seconds on an ultimate, it can be a little bit obnoxious. But we're already having Hanwha here just getting some vision and trying to be obnoxious, use that double poke that they have to push Tarzan away.
Yeah, they're recognizing that there is a big carry in Tarzan, and we got to talk about Tarzan versus Chovy. It is the 2 old school Griffin boys coming back and looking to try and find their other Griffin boy in Viper or later on in the tournament. So these guys are the catalyst to their team. These are the guys who make the plays and make the moves, and these are the guys we're going to have our magnifying glasses on.
Yeah, for anyone who's not aware, you had both these boys playing back on Griffin in 2019. We got Chovy left for DRX in 2020, where he stayed there before moving on to Hanwha Life in 2021. Whereas for Tarzan, he kind of dipped out coming into summer 2020, where he left Griffin, wasn't really sure where he's going, and then popped up again on LNG and has been kind of riding high and been such a core portion of LNG ever since then.
Curious now to see exactly where Chovy wants to take this one. He will always have the push against the Gragas. The Gragas not so great into those lanes. And like you said, the regeneration you get with the Tryndamere on his W, as well as just in general, the rejuves is just insane. So a lot of pushing, a lot of powerful lanes here in the bottom half of the map here for the side of Hanwha Life. But Ale is going to be able to get the push into Morgan. And like we said, Morgan on this Aurelia can pop off, but we have seen the opposite happen for the Jax.
Yeah, I think for Jax, you can get that push level 1. Having access to the Counter-Strike makes it very difficult for Morgan to like stack up his Q and go for these aggressive trades with the auto attacks stacked up on the passive. So I like getting the shove here, but you can actually look at Tarzan. He's pathing back down towards this bottom side. You do not want to try and fight with Chovy having push. You'll have Morgan, who's going to be just able to push out that wave in top side as well. And the Sejuani, there's just too much pressure there, although Tarzan maybe looking for the early play.
Oh, I think he might have just been spotted out. Yeah, I think he just got spotted there on the side of the vision, so they knew exactly where he was. He's just going to take a scuttle as his prize, as we see now Willer going down towards that bot side and just kind of getting a nice trade, a shake of hands, if you will, on either scuttle on either side.
Yeah, I mean, Willer just pathing back down towards where he had push on that bottom side, so Jungler's both going to reset, and it's not going to be too much action again. Like, when you're looking towards Tarzan, once that level 6, that's where you really start to take on much more pressure coming through from the Kiana. And with Willer as well, we said his home is going to be those Rift Heralds.
It really, really is. And we got to talk about Hanwha Life as well, because when they get a lead, they generally do well. The sad thing that comes up is when they don't get a lead, they tend to not really do a lot. They have got themselves an 8.3% win rate with a deficit at 20 minutes, so they are not good when they're put behind the pace of the game.
Yeah, and a large portion of that is coming through like lane phase for Chovy, right? Chovy's been an absolute monster when it comes towards TSing, controlling his matchup. Same when you look towards Deft in the bottom lane. Those are the big places that we're looking towards goal difference from lane, but we'll have to see how they pick up the pace a little bit against LNG, because certainly... Oh, hang on.
We're going to see the Counter-Strike. Ally doesn't really have the mana or the health bar really to take that fight, so just Morgan being a nuisance. And honestly, Morgan's got the wave in a nice spot, so he might be able to kind of force a little bit of jungle attention early to the top side.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if Willer is going to make it up there again. I think you, as Hanwha Life, just hang on here, right? You can look towards the early Rift Herald play, look to try and take those early skirmishes, whereas when you look across at Tarzan, just trying to clear these camps off of respawn is going to be your best bet. But it is also Tarzan, who is definitely known as a bit more of an aggressive jungler, who already is trying to see if he can get on towards Deft in the bottom side.
Yeah, and of course they know that the Kiana is going to be looking for those moves, is going to be looking to try and get those little skirmishes going where they can just burst them out, because a Kiana who gets fed, a Kiana who gets ahead is a massive issue. But like you said earlier, they're very squishy. If you don't get ahead, if you don't get the items and the side of Hanwha Life can survive, that's when things get a little bit testy.
Yeah, especially if Hanwha can start to pick up some of these early towers. When you want to try and play this 1-3-1, you end up spread across the map very well. You can start to look to like hover and hard shift in towards some of these plays towards mid lane, make it really difficult for LNG to control the map. Although, here we go, Willer making his way up top side.
Yeah, he's up here. They're going to be able to jump on top of him. He has got himself the ward hop, but I think Ali's in a lot of trouble. Flash forward. Willer will not get the proc down, though, and they're not going to commit to the full dive, so a little bit of a miss execution there. And at the bot side, Depth, though, he's ignited. He has to flash himself away, but already Light and Awandi putting their foot down.
Yeah, I really thought on that topside play we'd actually get the flash from Morgan. One more auto would have been the stun, and they could have killed Ali underneath that tower, but Morgan not willing to invest it, and it means that you just about escape as Ali. And I think as well, as Ali now making his way back topside, should be able to catch most of this wave. He's not going to be in too many issues.
Yeah, you see Icon pretty damn confident as the Gragas. He's going to have a lot of work to be able to kind of make this one for him. Tarzan was just hovering around, and Chovy knows not to mess with that jungler and gets himself out to safety. You're going to have Willer just hover around, and Tarzan says, I'm not done with you just yet. I'm going to keep chasing you all the way down because I am guaranteeing this little prize of the Scuttle Crab.
It was a nice attempt from Icon, though. If he'd actually managed to get Chovy underneath the tower, maybe when he was still level 5, you could have made that play work, get that quick kill, but fortunately not quite able to do so. You actually see Iwandi as well starting to rotate up, but this very much feels more like the LNG that we saw in the regular split, right? Iwandi not having a huge amount of roam potential, and I'm kind of seeing a bit of a slower paced game, which I think suits Hanwha.
Yeah, I think this is the thing. We talk about LNG. Again, LNG probably a team that not many people are very familiar with. They're not, apart from, I would say, Icon or Tarzan, not really household names in the LPL. And this is a team that you can just work an awful lot with. And we look at the story of how they actually got here and really see exactly what they went for. The first half, like you said, they went 7-1. They were huge in the first half of the split, but then it just all kind of fell down a bit.
Yeah, the second half of the split, they really couldn't get it together. together. We talked about those like individualistic playstyles were not really working together, but when we look towards Tarzan, you can see this is what started to change. Tarzan hovering for Ale, letting him get control of these topside waves, especially when he's on these more carry-orientated picks. That was the big tool that set up LNG for success, especially when we look towards playoffs.
Yeah, the big thing in playoffs, as we always look at it there, is that it was just them absolutely smashing the World's 2020 finalists. Okay, we'll take down the semi-finalists down in top esports. Okay, you know what? MSI 2021 winners, we will take them down too. They earned their spot to be here at Worlds, and they honestly look so good doing it.
Yeah, and it's part of the reason when we looked at like predictions coming through for LPL, me and Lyric held hands into last place because we were like, there's no way LNG beats City. There's no way they beat top esports. How the hell did they beat RNG? They really came out of the gate swinging, and it's great to see that LNG made that miracle run, managed to get all the way to Worlds. But I mean, again, we were talking about it's also a miracle run for Hanwha Life. They also ran the gauntlet to get in towards the regional finals. They managed to take down Nongshim to actually get across here. And that's exactly like that run is what set them up so well to come into the World Championship. And now we got to see if they can beat down LNG and continue that streak.
We're seeing now Rift Herald being started up by Willer in the picture-in-picture. We'll wait to see now Tarzan hovering around, maybe looking for something here. We'll find Vista. Does he invest into it though? Actually, they're looking for Deft because they know he has no flash available. He'll have an arcane shift, and that's about it. He will use it there. There's the supreme display of talent into the bullet time, but is it enough to be traded back? Iwandi will just survive. First blood goes to LNG.
Guardian OP in that play. Iwandi barely scraping out of that one, but really good call from Deft, just getting that ultimate off. Nearly got the turnaround, but unfortunately not quite able to do so. While this was all going on though, Hanwha did get that Rift Tower. This was the trade on the map state that LNG were looking for, and at least they're able to pick up a kill. Not getting any turret plates though, not going to mean that Light able to get too much off of the bot lane play.
Yeah, right now Hanwha Life getting the objective win, whereas LNG getting themselves the kill. Important that did go over to Tarzan, and Willer stealing away a couple of camps as well, just to be a little bit annoying in the end of that play. So now Tarzan, where do you want to go with this? And actually, we're looking towards the top, so we haven't talked about it in a while. Morgan is having a little bit of a free time just farming up, 10 CS up into Ale. He knows he's going to have himself a nice little bit of an advantage, especially how much time Willer is investing to that top side.
Yeah, and I'm actually curious to see the kind of full roam up from Light and Iwandi as well. They were nearly expecting Hanwha to just toss that Rift Tower very quickly into the top side and wanted to be there for that play, but it does mean, when you look at the bot side, Deft getting that full wave, going to be able to push this in, and it unlocks Vista, who's starting to roam around the map, and then we get Hanwha going back towards these dragons.
I'm going to start it off. We have a quick look at the gold. It is only about a 200 gold lead into that top side, as we can see pretty much even Stevens across the board, and the only real difference being in the jungle position. Actually, I'll just say Deft does have himself about a 400 gold lead in that bot side as well, and that's two objectives now. Rift Herald into the dragon, going over to Hanwha Life, and they're picking up the speed a little bit. They're going through the motions. This is where they're very, very comfortable to kind of play this game.
And this is kind of why I was surprised to see the Kiana pick, especially for Tarzan, right? We've been talking about Tarzan liking these early aggressive plays. Like our picks, when you look towards playoffs, it's been like the Olafs, the Zacs, the Lee Sins, the players that can get out and get onto the map early, but the Kiana just doesn't have that. And you're seeing, look, Ale not able to play through the Jacks to get these big advantages topside. Iwandi not really pairing up with the LNG in the same way. And Hanwha have been playing their game, right? Slow and steady, beat them through lanes, look towards these objectives, especially when you look towards Hanwha in the playoffs. They've been much more focused on these dragons, trying to get that crazy early soul at the 28-minute mark that has been so crucial to their success.
We got Gordringer now for Tarzan, as we do see the flawless duet land there onto Ale. Pretty damn safe, if I do say so myself. Got himself the plated steel caps to keep himself going onto this one here, as Icon just pushing in Chovy just a little bit. Willer will be spotted out. There's the Vanguard's edge jumping in straight away. We will have the counter-strike to try and mitigate anything going. They will invest the Glacial Prison, but it will miss by the smallest of hairs.
Yeah, they just about to get away, but that's two plays now to the top side, giving a ton of control over to this Aurelia.
DP.
Oh, hang on, yeah, looking at this bottom side.
Deft's in a lot of trouble. He has flash and heal. He's going to get charmed up into the bullet time. Flashes away. There's Icon using the explosive cast into the belly bob. He's exhausted. Deft will fall. Vista sure to follow. Who's going to get it? It's going to be Light. 1-2 Uniflu. LNG 3-0 up.
And this is brilliant from LNG, getting some plays on the bottom side, but Hanwha Life are here to trade, looking to get this mid lane turret.
Yeah, we can see it now dropping down. Shelly She will get a bop off, so they will get themselves 3 plates. Nicely done there. Is actually Ale and Morgan going toe-to-toe. It's a 1v1 in the top side. We're going to see the stun come down. Ale forced to flash away. Cannot take on the Aurelia right now.
And we put the question mark out. Hey, Morgan, have you improved? What's this Aurelia going to look like? Well, it's pretty damn clean right now. Beating out Ale, getting these big plays. And unfortunately, Tarzan misses that ultimate in the mid lane. So trade in towards mid. Victory for Hanwha. Trade on the top side. Victory for Hanwha. The only part that's really missing for Hanwha is this bot side. But you're looking to play that 1-3-1 still.
Let's take a look at the Axe replay right now, because this was just a well-coordinated dive that just said, look, you're overextended and we have a TP ward.
Yeah, I want he flashes that little bit too far forward, but you still have Icon here to save the day. Light flashing forward as well, manages to pick up the double kill, and especially when you're looking towards the ability to set up Light as this big carry on this Misfortune, look towards those team fights, having a bunch of kills on towards this MF may give a little bit of reproach to Hanwha.
Again, I gotta make reference. We are only about 13 minutes into the game, but it is a 1,000 gold lead right now for LNG, and this is where Hanwha Life, as we said, in those mid-games, 20 minutes, they tend to struggle. So I want to see a little bit more. I want to see how they are able to kind of transition themselves.
The big problem for me, though, is like when you look towards how do you force fights for LNG, right? You want objectives. Well, Rift Herald's already gone. You look towards Dragons, well, they've already started going the way of Hanwha, and Hanwha can start to trade the later Dragons for pressure on these side lanes. Take down the turrets, they've already weakened mid, bots looking a little bit low as well, and you've got Morgan, who's kind of slapping LA around in the top side.
This is starting, it's very slow start to the game. It's only 3 kills. We're not used to this, obviously. We have a little bit more action generally from the LPL, but it's slow and steady. We're starting to see full items being picked up. The Mythics, we have, of course, got the Gore Drinker for the Aurelia. You got the Frostfire Gauntlet here for the Sejuani. Gore Drinker finished up for the Tryndamere as well. And on the other side, you've got the Gale Force for the Misfortune. You only have the Gore Drinker for the Kiana. So you are at a little bit of a power trough right now for LNG.
Yeah, and I think Hanwha have been doing a good job at the moment of kind of playing towards their strengths, right? They have been a slower paced team. With the champions that they have, they want to play through the laning phase, and even just pushing off the advantages that Chovy has in the mid lane. We've seen Willer working towards these objectives, and now you're kind of going, hang on a second, LNG, you need to start making these plays happen, because if you end up in a situation where Hanwha can have free roam on the map, you're not going to be looking so hot. And especially when Hanwha, they want to start looking towards Dragons, they want to start looking at this next Rift Herald, which is just going to be up in under a minute.
I'm a little scared. Chovy's not done a lot, but like that, Chovy knows how to do a lot, and that's why I'm a little scared. Later this game goes on, the more of a monster this guy becomes, and you even look at towards, you know, his regular split versus his, you know, his regional gauntlet as such. He really absolutely stepped up and was able to make so much happen for his team. And just looking at the difference between his first blood percentage, his damage per minute, his kill participation, it was huge. And as we're going to have to quickly come back out of this, we are going to see both junglers and Iwandi actually here. Miller doesn't fully commit to it, and they're going to force out the Sejuani. So LNG privy to the play, but now with the rest of the team coming up, Tarzan might be in a little bit of trouble. Ale going toe-to-toe with Morgan, flashes himself out, or excuse me, jumps himself out. And it's just a lot of posturing. I
don't like what LNG are doing, though. Your strongest point on the map is Light. The fact that Light is not rotated up to this means that Hanwha are playing off their strongest point on the map, which is top side. So you can see LNG, they've just got to give this. They don't have control of mid and top, and Hanwha get this again. So I'd rather see LNG looking for cross maps, seeing if they can make a play towards depth, or even look to take this bottom tower in response. But Hanwha will breathe a sigh of relief, knowing LNG were in the vicinity.
Yep, Hanwha will get themselves HLE 2.0. Well, Dragon has been started by LNG, but we are seeing the Karma rush down there immediately. Deft is playing uber safe because he now realizes that they're no longer at the Rift Herald, so he is in a lot of trouble if he was to stay underneath his tower. So it eventually equals out, but it could have been a lot more. That was very close.
Yeah, maybe a little bit too close there for Tarzan, but he does manage to get it. Tower bot side still goes down for Light, though, and at least that's going to help out a little bit, but it will be responded from Hanwha, and Iwandi is top side to make sure that he can respond to the Herald play, try and stop them from getting 2 towers, but you definitely need Tarzan or Icon to start to move up here in case they look for the all-in.
Now, Plus Duet will just land as Iwandi just saying, hey, I'm here, don't think of anything funny, we know that you can go for it if I wasn't, so showing face to make sure his top laner was doing all right.
Yeah, Icon had started to move up top side with Tarzan, who was going to take over mid control. So Hanwha Life, respecting the fact that there was going to be more members of LNG in top lane, started to back away. But again, I like this from Hanwha, right? You trade that dragon, you get control on the top side, get control of Rift Herald, taking the turrets, and now you can start to have Morgan pushing that little bit deeper, Chovy pushing that little bit deeper, get vision control, and start to operate in the 1-3-1 where you're most comfortable.
It is still creeping forward, as we can now see the Misfortune has about 1,000 gold lead in that bot side, and it is only about 400 or 500 in the top lane, so you're still gaining more effective gold from LNG making these trades on the bot side, but the easy objective of the tower and the dragon is now gone. Like we said earlier, you need to start making plays, you need to start finding opportunities, because Hanwha are just very happy to sit here and just soak up the waves and experience.
Yeah, the only downside for Hanwha is that they couldn't really get any like deep vision in as well, so they weren't quite able to keep full control. You can see Morgan like investing a lot of time here to clear out the vision that LNG had placed onto the bottom lane. So unfortunately for Chovy, who's now operating on the top end, won't be able to push in too far. He's just going to dip out of vision, make sure that he's able to at least give a little bit of pressure towards Def so he can have control over that mid lane.
We're just sitting here and waiting for something to happen.
So this is what an LCK podcast is.
I was going to say, now we go how LCK feels. God damn. No wonder they get to talk about so many different things. But obviously, you know, we can talk about the importance of these teams, but we haven't really talked about the importance of this group. It is still a single round robin best of one. Excuse me, I can get my
What was that?
Wow, wobbin. A round robin best of one.
Sucker
yeah, you can do tongue twisters and I can't. And that's a weird flex that you always pull up on me. But it is something that you get one shot at this. This is your tiebreaker. This is the opportunity now to make sure that you're going to be able to go top of your group, get that automatic qualification. If you lose this, you're already on the back foot.
Yeah, and I think also a lot of pride from both regions going to be relying on this as well, right? Like, first game of World Championship 2021, you want to get the W. You want to put it in your
Wing
Sorry, I was going to say, so this is where you see the LPL in me. I see two teams anywhere near each other, and I'm like, they're going to fight.
They were near Raptors. Yes. Something's about to happen.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that, like, is really interesting when you look at, like, LCK versus LPL. It's LPL will oftentimes like fight for summoners, right? When you know like in 2 minutes time that a dragon's going to be up, they'll try and burn crucial summoners on, say, things like an Ezreal on Def, so you maybe can pick him off, or if you can burn on towards Morgan, you can try and pick him off as well. But we don't actually see that a huge amount from LCK. They are much more respectful and going, hang on, what are we actually fighting for here? Is it worth burning those summoner spells and losing that bit of gold?
Well, Chovy has got a fat Santa Man running after him. Iwandi was spotted out, so he's just going to spin his way to safety as the push comes in here from Icon. Minute and a half till Dragon, and Vista might be in a little bit of trouble. There are 3 men going in. They flash forward, but Vista will not be hit by the supreme display of talent. He gets out, but he burns a summoner.
It's just about able to escape, and you can see, right, trying to commit a lot there to get some of these crucial summoner spells. Tarzan has to burn his same, though. You should still have that ultimate backup for the dragon fight if it happens, but if I'm Hanwha, right, look at where Chovy is. Push in that wave, keep yourself entirely safe, make sure that you can then have Morgan try and shove in bot side as well. Like, you do not need to fully commit towards this dragon because you're under no real pressure. This late game dragon scaling is only going to facilitate you in trying to play out through those side lanes.
Again, we're just slowly ticking up now. We're coming up 10 seconds before the 20-minute mark, and it is a gold lead for LNG. No, it's not a significant,
it literally hasn't
huge
changed.
one.
It's the exact same from earlier on.
It's 1,300, so it's slightly bigger. But
excuse me.
Your pardon, no worries. That's why I'm here, to keep you sane, keep you set up. But again, this is a very small gold lead, but it is still LNG getting the gold lead. They are now starting to pick up those first items. We see the Everfrost into the mid lane, Blade the Rune King for Ale into the top side. So he's looking to again push in, get those trades, and get kind of sustained back up before he looks for a fight again.
Yeah, I think though you can see, right, LNG, they're kind of going, there's a lot of control here for Hanwha on this dragon. Don't know how much we want to try and commit to it. Already just trying to shift their vision control up towards Baron, so Tarzan just trying to see if he can poke, but I don't know if LNG are actually going to fully commit for this. They're now face checking in, kind of realizing, hang on a second, Def's the only real poke.
I've been here before. Icon this time round going to jump in now and see if he can catch out Morgan, who has got his flash available to him, but I think he's dead to rights. You can see Iwandi and the rest of LNG. Woo! Morgan almost getting the solo kill, but a supreme display of talent catches out Willer and Chovy. They are going to jump in now with the quickness and try and start this one off. Def untouched. Vista is now out and safe. He's going to be able to supply ordnance from the side, and Chovy with the undying rage, with the healing, with the damage. It's just doing so much to this backside. Tarzan has to try and find himself a way out, but I don't think he can. He's going to try and just do as much damage as possible, but it is Hanwha Life who get themselves the 3 kills.
And it looked good to begin with for LNG, but there you can see the power of this Tryndamere Tryndamere pick. Chovy running amok through LNG, and Hanwha now will turn towards Dragon. They'll get more kills on towards these solo laners for Hanwha, and can now look again to go back towards this 1-3-1 and start to find those early those better skirmishes for themselves. But we're going to see it here, right? You get the 1v1 between Ale and Morgan. Nice job from Ale to set this up. You got Icon is coming, so Morgan has to look for the all-in. But I want to cast your eyes towards the top half of this replay. You get the bullet time from Light, but look how few people actually get hit by it. Not quite getting into a position where he can actually like push on towards Chovy. Willer, Vista is totally out of the equation as well, and then poor positioning trying to follow up on the fight means you get that really good turnaround from Willer, setting up the fight. And look at Chovy, like absolutely running amok. This is it. You get all the healing, you get all the invincibility, and then you just go pop, I'm full health again.
It is so obnoxious, and this is why Chovy, you can see just how well he goes into the fight, comes out of the fight, recognizes his limits and knows where he can and cannot go. Has the Essence Reaver now. If you're not familiar with the Tryndamere build, this is pretty damn common. Gets you cooldowns. You don't really care about the mana as such. You're just looking to try and keep yourself as topped up as possible.
Yeah, and we'll often see like Navori Quickblades coming in as well after that, like basically going for all the cooldown that you can possibly have as soon as possible. So you can see there, looking at the gold difference as well, that's 1500 there going over towards Chovy in that mid lane. He's going to be so strong, and again you can see him like operating on this top side. You can't really sit here as Icon. You're always in dive potential, and when you've got that invincibility from Chovy, he can just tower dive.
And you can see there Tarzan didn't have his flash because he tried to use it on Vista earlier, and Chovy will find him, but I don't know if he wants to take this fight just yet. There is a few LNG members just hovering off to the side, and Chovy picks up some fruit and eats his vegetables, gets his 5 a day, and gets himself back up to literally full HP.
Yeah, I love the way Hanwha have been playing this, though, right? We talked about them being the very slow-paced team, but they're keeping control over the top side in the early stages, getting those early Rift Heralds, and now you can see LNG, even though they want to find these team fights, Hanwha staying very spread out, finding more skirmish-orientated engages, means that you're not getting that big wombo from LNG, and Hanwha are finding success. Now going back towards the 1-3-1, you're not really finding moments for LNG, especially when they're behind in tempo, to force these fights.
Yeah, and Willer just saying, look, I'm ahead of you. I have 3 levels above you. I have the rest of my team behind me. You need to get the hell out. This is no longer your jungle. So now LNG, they have to invest the vision. They have to invest the time, the buddy system to find the vision, find out where these wards are, and to get themselves back in control of their own jungle.
And it's so difficult when, like, Deft pushing in mid lane, he gets control, just linking up with Chovy's already pushed in top. They just disappear into the fog of war on the top side of the map, and you've got to then try and face check it as LNG. And here's again that problem that we brought up, right? Not really a big tank on LNG side. You don't even have something like a Zhonya's Hourglass for Icon, so trying to contest vision that Hanwha Life are establishing your top side is really difficult to do.
I mean, if you get the wombo combo as LNG, that's fantastic. You've gotten all of your damage off. If it misses, which you saw in the last team fight where the Misfortunal just was a little bit too shy, you just don't have the sustain to stay in the fight. You need to back away. All of your damage is based off of that big combination, unless Hanwha Life makes some egregious errors in positioning.
And all it takes is Willer to show up anywhere, right? You get that big Sejuani ult, you can go top side, Chovy look for the dive, you can go in towards the mid lane as well. They just basically have a Morgan like absorb all the lanes that Ali's pushing in and going, cool, well, what are you going to do, LNG? You can't really play off of 3 lanes right now because you're behind. So if you ever get Ale who hard focuses on towards this bot lane push, you can get Morgan, run in towards the mid lane, they can look for an engage there, they can shift up towards the top side as well. There's so many opportunities for Hanwha to find moments on the map.
Yeah, and 25 minutes in, it is a 700 gold lead, a dragon in favor of Hanwha Life. It is so damn close, this particular game, and you can tell neither team wants to give that inch. If you give an inch, you could lose a mile. There's just so much on the line for both these sides. Neither really wants to be the reason they lost.
Oh, I was kind of thinking, you know, LCK, LPL, maybe we get LNG coming in super fast, super spicy, but definitely a LCK style game, which, I mean, Hanwha, they've been playing this all split. This hasn't been the LNG style, and they're struggling to keep up with the LCK team here.
They are struggling a little bit, and I like this from the side of Hanwha Life. They're saying, look, we have teleport advantages. We know what we can do. Light getting jumped on a little bit, uses the Gale Force to try and get himself out. They're going to try and jump on the Chovy and maybe burn him down, but he's still going. There's the Supreme display of talent to try and keep Light alive, but Chovy's in, Chovy's out, and Chovy gets himself the kill.
Welcome to why Tryndamere is just stupid. Like, the fact that Chovy's just the entire time running down Light there, able to escape. Now again, Light, pretty poor positioning there. Easily able for Chovy to just jump on him. You got Willer coming over the wall as well. But this is what we're talking about, right? Ale tries to push in topside, and instantly Hanwha are like, cool, we have the numbers advantage up on topside. Let's start to push in aggressively. We're ahead. We can take these fights, and they do a phenomenal job of finding light and executing them.
Man, they really do. Oh, flash in. Icon goes in. Belly bop, extendo bop as they get him down. Deft gets himself killed all out of one small misstep.
All right, there's the one per game for Deft. Deft does this basically all the time. Every time you hear Hanwha ahead, Deft will end up giving over one of these. But I don't think it's going to be too massive. Like, Dragon going across, yeah, it would be nice for Hanwha if you were out on the map to try and find, like, pressure elsewhere. But a second Dragon to LNG doesn't really change much with how much control Hanwha have on this map. Even you can see it here, right? They're still pushing out mid because you're committing members for LNG to the Dragon. They start to rotate again up, looking for vision control on this top side, playing towards Baron, playing towards Chovy's strength. You're still good as Hanwha here.
We'll say, though, that's how quick it can change. That's how the damage works. That's how quickly you will just get 100 to 0'd. And it was honestly just a trade of the AD carries summoner heals. It was Light losing his, didn't use his flash. Deft obviously getting caught and also using his. So we now see full items being picked up now. We have 3 for Deft. He's got himself that Frozen Heart, so a little bit of extra tankiness won't do him a lot against the Gragas, but will do a lot against the Jax and the Kiana, as well as the Misfortune. And again, more and more items. The Navori Quick Blades, which you mentioned for the Tryndamere.
I'm terrified of this
but
Tryndamere.
the Rabadon's Death Cap for Icons, his one-shot potential is 100% real.
Yeah, but you're Gragas. And you're also like, you've got invincibility for Chovy, right? You've got the Morgan who's going to have that Sterix, the Gore Drinker, like, Nyan and possibly just one-shot this. Same when you look at Willer, like, maybe you can catch Deft in moments like that, but those are rare moments where you can actually catch Ezreal. So what, you're going to invest the Rabadon's deck cap to burst out Vista? I think Azanya's Hourglass, looking to be that engaged tool, looking to try and play defense, would have been better for Icon in this situation.
And Icon investing the explosive cast there as Chovy does spin to get himself out. Was locked up just a little bit. Willer is going to find himself in a 1v1 versus Tarzan as they both try and gain control of the red side Dragon. And we now see Ale and Morgan taking their 1v1s. This is not a 5v5 game. This is a 1v2v1v1. Because right now, this is just no one's grouping up. No one wants to go for a big team fight because they feel like they have strengths in those side lanes.
But Hanwha don't need to.
Oh, I want B. They're going to chase him down just a little bit, but with Icon there, he should be able to get himself battle danced out.
Yeah, but Hanwha don't need to force the issue, right? Like, they're actually doing the correct thing here, which is just getting deep vision control, allowing them to play off of both the 2 waves that are in mid and in that top side as well. So if you ever misstep of his LNG, like Iwandi nearly did, you can look for the picks. So LNG are trying desperately to contest this vision, not give Hanwha control of this top side, because then they can move between the 2 lanes so easily.
Oh, Willer's gotten caught out. They're going to try and charm him up. There is a TP coming in, but he is dead now. Here you are, Morgan. Can you get out? Ale jumps onto the backside to try and get some disruption there, but Chovy has arrived. Can he do anything in this fight? No, LNG are just too much of a unit. They're too clumped together. The explosive cast to disengage. Chovy still pushing it onto Tarzan as Iwandi is here. Has popped the ghost, will get himself out, but a pick nonetheless.
But there's the difference, right? Ale resets. Hanwha don't respect it. Still try to contest vision in the top side. Ale shows up and they pick off Willer. Now, you can still see with Hanwha having that huge advantage. LNG still struggling to force them out. So Hanwha still in pretty decent control of the map, but at least you're getting something back in LNG's favor.
That is 30 minutes into the game. Yeah. The gold lead means nothing right now. It's 200 or so in the phase. Not even, actually. Now, let's just check it. It's just been updated. It's 2 dragons apiece. We are going to see the Baron being started up here. Tarzan doesn't quite know this is going down just yet. As he kind of moves over, is he being baited by a ward? He kind of is, I'm not going to lie. He knows that he has vision there, but they don't know that the Baron's going down.
Yeah, they just think Chovy's moving across here. He pops over the wall. Maybe this is the ward. There we go. It hops down. LNG are now aware this is happening.
They are aware it is. Willer is only just joining in now. 5,000 HP onto the Baron. You can see LNG have moved themselves up. They have priority in mid. Hanwha are thinking about disengaging for this one. The Baron very, very low. They'll go in straight down onto Iwandi. There's the explosive cast, but Iwandi is dead. Extreme play of talent, though. Hits on the 4, and maybe LNG can turn this one around. Chovy's already used his Undying Rage and has to get himself out. It's a 1 for none. LNG do get themselves a hell of a lot, though.
The synergy just isn't there between LNG. We get the big supreme display of talent, but again, the Misfortune ultimate isn't over the top of it. Chovy again presses or survives all the burst, runs through onto the backline at LNG. They're running for the hills every time Tryndamere approaches them. Hanwha have again managed to get away from what is the bread and butter of LNG's composition.
You can see it there just in the way that the teams are playing. Neither is fully confident they can commit to the full 5v5, and they're kind of hemming and hawing and going in, and yes, maybe no. It just ends up being a big old scrap that's kind of fought on 2 different fronts. And Hanwha Life, because of the obnoxious champions they have, they're just able to get the benefit of it.
Yeah, and one of the big things is like when you look towards the engages coming through from the Rakan as well, right? We're going to see it here is that Rakan, very, very squishy. If this was an Alistar, cool, pop the ultimate, you're going to be able to get out, but Hanwha Life do a really good job of picking off Iwandi. Again, we get the Supreme Display talent, not really working in synergy with Light, and Chovy pops the ore just in time, manages to escape, and then Hanwha are like, cool, we've kind of looked to reset here, we got the pick, we're good to go again.
Oh, here we go. No teleport here for Morgan, but there is one for Ale as we now go towards the mid lane. Chovy has been spotted out, so the rest of LNG back themselves up. They're going to actually jump straight in on top of him and try and maybe burn him down just a little bit. Not quite able to get any CC down, so can't lock him up. 10 seconds till the dragon spawns. Hanwha Life first on the river. Yeah,
LNG were just seeing if they could maybe pop that ultimate before this objective starts, but again, Hanwha now with control of this. We just saw that LNG, if they cannot hit on towards Deft, on towards Vista with these ultimates, they cannot win these team fights.
Here we go. Willer goes in. We're going to see the Supreme Display his talents hit down to another 4 people as Ale jumps on the Chovy. He will have the counter-strike here onto Morgan, but he's not going to be able to get anything else done. There is the bullet time going down. Willer is dead. Vista has to flash away and get himself healed by his AD carry. Chovy, for the first time this game, looks like he might die, and that's going to be a shutdown going over to Light. Ale chasing down the old LPL top laner in Morgan. That's 3 kills. That's going to be Dragon. That's going to be Baron.
Yeah, you can see the pings going down on towards Baron. They're just going to have Icon solo this out the rest of the team, but Deft
is here. And oh, call an ambulance, but not for me. He gets himself between the turrets and Ale gets himself out. That's another kill for LNG. They have the run of the map.
Yeah, great bait, mate. 8 out of 8 as they move over towards the Baron. And I mean, it's only Deft here. This would be a miracle steal if he can get that ultimate, but Tarzan is on the bottom side. He's going to pop that early. Look to poke off LNG.
He's looking to poke him off. This isn't Ezreal. He's got himself 4 items or 3.5 as he comes into this one, but he's 5v1. Deft, it's all on you, buddy. They're going to try and go for him. They're going to slow him down. He's going to flash away to try and keep himself alive, but the explosive cat is too good. Deft, however, is a slippery Ezreal and gets himself out. Baron still goes in favor of LNG.
All right, Deft, I respect it. Playing on a knife's edge there, but just about able to escape. LNG, though, will manage to get the Baron. Has slowed down the pace of LNG, though, and allowing Hanwha to get back out onto the map. They can now start to look to shove out waves and mitigate the damage that this Red Bull Baron power play can have.
And now you can talk about the replay, because I'm talking.
But look, I think this is really cool, right? You end up getting the damage on towards Chovy, but watch Deft and Vista, right? They're completely zoned out from this fight. Icon does a great job of engaging onto them, so a large portion of your damage is just lacking here. Chovy is doing a great job of tanking up and causing disruption in LNG's backline, but because you don't have Deft working his way through the LNG's life bars this entire time, LNG are still healthy and able to find the victory in the fight.
This is now looking at Ale, 403 on this Jax. 5 items if you include his boots. He is just so obnoxious to deal with. And with the Red Bull Baron power play now for LNG as they push into that mid lane. Still waiting to get themselves more than 1 turret. Still a lot of standing gold available, but they have the options. They have the damage.
Yeah, and this was kind of the benefit of Deft being able to slow them, right? Look at the wave top. That's got to be pushed out before you can really deal with anything. Same when you look at the bot lane. Chovy managed to push that out. So the only place that LNG can really aggress on is mid lane.
Oh, Morgan. Ale gonna jump in, but he's 3v1 right now. Will have a ward and a hop and keep himself alive. Willer now, sadly for the Sejuani, is just a stun bot. It is an engage tool to try and soak up as much damage as possible because the Sejuani is just not going to be able to do any meaningful damage as finally that tier 1 in mid lane does fall. As LNG keep pushing forward, keep looking to try and find someone just overstepping.
Yeah, and this was the downside that we talked about, right? Deft not really having great wave clear, not going to get it off of your 2 melee solo laners. So Hanwha going to struggle when LNG group up with this Baron, but unfortunately, not able to get any more for LNG's side. So Hanwha again defending. If you only lose a mid lane turret off of the Baron play, like, that's pretty good.
I mean, it's just so we're at the state of the game now where supports are picking up second items. You know, they are picking up more specifically for the Karma. For Vista, he's being able to pick up a little bit of AP, a little bit of extra wave clear, getting levels in as well. So this is where the game starts to become a little bit harder for LNG, where they need to find a full 5-man ace before they can actually get anything significant.
I also think we're starting to see a lot of the crucial items come through on LNG's side, right? At least the stopwatch for Icon, we already talked about the importance of having that when it comes towards team fights, being able to play aggressive, deny Chovy access while keeping yourself safe is going to be super crucial. Tarzan as well having the Black Cleaver as Iwandi taking a bit of a step too far forward.
Oh, Chovy will get jumped on though, so it's kind of a swap between Ale and Iwandi. Chovy will just get himself over the wall, but that's a lot of damage coming out from Ale, and Ale is unafraid. He is running into 5 members, knowing that he can just hop back out. This Jax is starting to really be a thorn in the side of Hanwha Life.
Yeah, the Random's Omen going to do a lot of work here against people like Tryndamere, right, who rely on all that crit damage coming through off the passive, off his items. So the fact that you've got this Random's Omen reducing that going to be super nice. Also just keeping people at arms, well, within arm's reach of Ale is going to be super important. So LNG starting to get a little bit more control over the map right now. We'll have to see if they'll be able to keep this pressure up using Ale now that he's scaled into the late game on these side lanes and find advantages there.
I'm curious as well, we actually see Icon going with the Hex Tech Putrefier as his third item. So not going for the full Morellos, looking to kind of be a bit more overall for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, when you've got like a Divine Sunder, 2 Gore Drinkers, everything else is coming through, I think you're going to get your value out of that.
Karma. You got a lot of grievous wounds to kind of bring into this one. We started with Rejuve Beeves, we end with grievous wounds, but now 50 seconds of this Dragon spawns. This will be Ocean Soul, and this is actually pretty significant now for LNG. That extra sustain to keep them in those fights could be huge.
Yeah, and look at the vision for Chovy. Thank you very much, observers, because when you look, right, this is where you can start to pick off people.
Yeah, they're going to look to see. Iwandi is pretty safe. Willer going to have to use his Arctic Assault over the wall to keep himself away. Tarzan, though, gets caught out here. Will take about half his health away. There's going to be the Glacial Prison coming in as they try and start this fight. Just before the Dragon spawns, Chovy goes into the side. The Supreme Display of Talent tops him down. And will he be able to keep himself alive just before it goes off? Yes, he will. He will get out. The heal, the flash. But here's Ale. He's just unafraid, unfurred, and undeterred to jump 100% into 3. Now, however, he's going to get one mark. Oh, Chovy can't die. He will keep himself alive. Flash forward. Light with the Gale Force gets him down, and finally LNG, after what feels like an age, will find themselves the fight. They'll get the Ocean Soul, and they might look just a barrel mid.
And it looks like Tarzan might be able to find Def, but Def going to be able to Arcane Shift away again. LNG finding these great fights, and now, as you said, Dragon available for them. That mistake where Def got caught out earlier, now coming back to bite him, as it will be Ocean Soul going to cross. Light needs to be careful.
There's a lot of damage on this Def, but Icon just staying out of vision. He has flash, and he has got himself the... Ooh, he nearly had the ult, but getting themselves the tower. They'll back away. They picked up the Dragon. That's Ocean Soul as well. But please explain to me this team fight, because it went on for an age.
Yeah, I mean, what ended up happening was Chovy going that little bit too far forward, which you'll see at the beginning. But then it turns into who survives longer, Ale or Morgan in the backline. Because you get that engage onto Iwandi. Light, again, that ultimate not really doing too much, but Chovy's just out of the equation at this stage, right? He's trying his damnedest, but this great kite back from LNG, a ton of CC to deal with, and Hanwha Life just can't catch up to play. Now watch, you got Morgan trying to deal with his fight on the top side. You got Ale, who's hop skipping and jumping his way around the Hanwha Life backline. And unfortunately, Ale just that bit bigger than Morgan right now and is able to finish off these fights.
Yeah, it felt like both top liners just shook hands and said, right, you take those 3, I'll take these 3, and we'll see who's better at this point. But now with the Ocean Soul, we do have themselves a significant gold lead, 7,500, and now Tarzan, he doesn't feel afraid of this Chovy right now because he's sitting on 3.5 items and he has a stopwatch.
Yeah, and I mean, this is kind of where Ale gets very comfortable, right? You full build, Guardian's Angel, like he can go ham in these team fights as well, and LNG just feel confident to start at the Baron. Hanwha won't even be here.
They gotta go with the teleport, they gotta bait this one out, they're gonna jump on the Chovy and get the damage down, but the Baron has been taken, that is secured. They're gonna jump straight in onto the single target of that Sejuani, who went a little bit too close to the LPL 4th seed, and now Ale just pushing forward, knowing that he might be able to find someone, has the counter-strike, will catch out Morgan, but a good flawless duet keeps him alive, barely, flashes away. They're gonna go in and keep him going, he's flashing, he's going forward, but when knocked back, he's going to be left all to his lonesome to try and defend against the rest of LNG. Now Tarzan feeling good. Supreme Display of Talent lands onto 2, and Def is dead. Vista will keep himself alive, and Chovy and Vista against the world.
Hanwha tried so damn hard, but LNG, they've got the Baron, they've got the Ocean Soul, and they're looking to take the base.
Game 1 of the 2021 World Championships, LPL versus the LCK. The Nexus will fall in favor of LPL, and they will strike first in this absolutely historic bout between these two regions.
LPL managed to come out on top, and you can see Icon on your